So, quick review of solids, liquids, and gases. Here we're looking at water. Water is convenient because we are familiar with it in all three of its states. In the gas state, we often call it steam. Liquid water, we just call water. And as a solid, we call it ice. And over here, we have a molecular representation of the water. In the solid form, the water molecules are going to line up in a particular structure. They're going to be, they'll be stationary relative to each other. They're not moving past each other. In the liquid, the particles are about the same distance apart. You say they're touchingly close, but now the particles can move around. And I've likened this to students in lab before. These are students in lecture like you are right now. You're sitting on your stools at the benches, and there's movement of breathing and note-taking and things, but you're not moving relative to each other. In a liquid is more like in lab when we get up and we're milling about and trying to get over to the balance and do this and that. We're still touchingly close. You could reach out and touch someone, right? But we're moving around. And then in the gas state, the particles are moving freely relative to each other, but they are also very far apart from each other. And this is the, after class is over and everybody goes out the door, and you go off in your own directions, right? So the distances here affect the densities of water in these different states. For liquid and solid water, the density is quite similar. It's close to 1 gram per cubic centimeter. But in the gas state, it's 0.00059 grams per cubic centimeter. Much, much less dense. We could also look at the molar volume, the volume of 1 mole, and see that that is also very different between the three states. The biggest difference between the solid and liquid state is the freedom of movement. The particles are very close together, densities are similar, but because the particles can move, the shape of a liquid is going to change, whereas the shape of a solid will not change. Particles are still moving, though, in a solid, but they're vibrating, locked in position. So if we increase the temperature of a solid, we increase the amount of vibration. You can imagine students getting antsy in their chairs, too much caffeine or need to use the restroom or something, and you've all felt that at one time or another. You just I can't sit still anymore, right? And that's a solid particle heating up, getting higher and higher kinetic energy moving around. And eventually you just can't take it anymore and you get up, even if it's in the middle of class, and you just get up and you got to go somewhere, right? That's melting. In a liquid, the particles have enough thermal energy to overcome the forces that are holding it together. So we could look at the three states. We can compare their densities, their shapes, their volumes. And what we're interested here in this chapter is the strength of intermolecular forces. So gases are going to have weak intermolecular forces, liquids will be moderate, and solids will be strong. And that is relative to the thermal energy, because most substances, if you adjust the temperature, you can cause them to be a liquid, solid, or a gas. So liquids take the shape of their containers, and that's because there's free movement among the particles. Gases also take the shape of the container, but what's strange about them is they take on the volume of the container too. They'll just expand to fill the whole volume. Here we have a liquid and a gas in a compressible cylinder. If we put pressure on this piston here and try to compress the liquid, we can't compress it because the molecules are already touchingly close. They can't be squeezed any tighter together. In the gas state, there's a lot of empty space, and that empty space is not air, it's actually nothing, okay? Because air is a gas, and what's between the particles of the gas? Nothing, empty space, right? So if we put pressure on this lid, we can squeeze those gas particles closer together. Okay, so gases are compressible. We can break solids into two broad categories, crystalline solids or amorphous solids. I believe we've mentioned these before. In a crystalline solid, you have a regular repeating pattern in 3 dimensions. There's lots of different patterns that can exist, but it's regular. Amorphous, the prefix a means without, morph refers to shape, so amorphous, without shape. Here, the particles, whether they're atoms or molecules, are jumbled together, and there's no particular order to them. So which state of matter is compressible? A gas. Anybody have any questions about that? Can you think of a solid that seems to be compressible? Foam or a sponge, right? Like, well, that's a solid, but I can compress it. What's up with that? What about that washcloth as an astronaut head? That was compressed. Those solids are they have an openness to them, where the solid part is actually surrounding a bunch of empty space. And so all you're doing is you're pushing the parts of the solid together. You're not actually compressing the solid. We can, of course, get changes between states, and we're familiar with many of these with regards to temperature. If you take a solid such as ice and you heat it up, it will melt and become a liquid. You take the liquid and you heat it up and it will boil and become a gas, right? You can also cause a liquid to turn into a gas by reducing the pressure above it. That's less obvious. If we take this gas and cool it down, we can cause it to condense into a liquid. We can also cause the gas to condense by putting a lot of pressure on it. We take a liquid and we cool it and we get a solid. LP gas, liquefied petroleum gas, is an example of a substance that is a gas at room temperature but has been condensed into a liquid with pressure. So inside this gas cylinder is propane, and it's under a great deal of pressure. And the pressure causes the gas particles to move closer together until they condense into a liquid. There will be some propane molecules in the gas state above the liquid, and when you open the valve and release some of the pressure, the propane molecules in the gas state will come out and go into your barbecue and grill your hamburgers for you. It feels like there's liquid in there because there actually is liquid in there. Yeah, there is liquid in there. Here's another conceptual question regarding state changes. So here's a molecular illustration of water. We see our familiar little Mickey Mouse head water molecules. And this is asking which of the diagrams below, A, B, or C, best represents the vapor emitted from a pot of boiling water. So when answering a question like this, you need to look at the choices and see, well, what's different about the choices, right? Over here, we have individual red and white spheres. Here we have 2 white spheres and 2 red spheres. They're all stuck together in pairs. And here we have our little Mickey Mouse water molecules. So when I boil water, what happens to the water molecules? They evaporate, they go into the gas state, but are the molecules changed? No, they're still water molecules. Just like when you guys go out the door, you don't suddenly turn into cows or something, right? You're still people. You're exactly the same person you were when you were in here. You're out there and you're not with us anymore, right? Now maybe you're lonely and sad and can't wait to come back, but you're still you, right? So when these particles separate from each other, they don't separate into hydrogen and oxygen molecules. They don't separate into atoms, completely fall to pieces. they remain water molecules, just separated from each other. Does that make sense? So the correct answer here is A.